What is up, CineNerds? I'm sorry, I'm laughing because JP and I both have our Mogwais up. But anyways, we chose, obviously, if you can't tell by the stuffed animals on the screen, we chose Gremlins for this week. So I'm Ryan.
I am JP Cross.
He always says that with a question mark. Like he's like, am I?
You sound like you're serious, but you're ending everything with a question mark?
It's like Ron Burgundy. It's like, I'm Ron Burgundy.
I feel like you're telling the truth.
Hey, JP, why does Santa cheer his elves on?
Oh God.
Because they have low self-esteem. That's how it's gonna start because guess what, guys? It is fucking Christmas. So Merry Christmas. We hope you guys got to enjoy underneath the tree this morning, enjoy your family and surrounded by loved ones time. And we're happy that those of you who are able to be here with us are here.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, because that's coming around the corner too. And I
Yep.
will be celebrating my Christmas next weekend. So, with all my family in a different state, I usually wait until after Christmas to go celebrate. That way all focus can be on me and not bouncing between different family members.
We just started we do the anchor. We just stay here. We do our house gig and if the kids can make it, they make it. And if not, it's what it is. But at Christmas I did threaten them all, so they'll all be here.
Well, that's why I wait because my my daughter's 25, my son is 21, 22 now. Um, they have their families, they have their mom, they have
The
their
in-laws, all that.
grandparents,
Yeah.
they have their in-laws, they have all this stuff. So if I go down like Christmas Day or the weekend of Christmas, they're jumping around so much that I'd only get to see them for, a small amount of
Oh
time.
yeah. I know how it
So
goes. Yeah.
so
The
I always wait until the following weekend, so which is always the weekend after New Year's typically, and I go down. So again, all focus is on this guy here because I drive it down to see my kids, so they all spend the entire weekend with me.
So what we did was we made so originally, now mind you, my wife and I both have been married once before. We both have one child each from that relationship. And so as our family grew, we are her and I, five kids. Four of those kids are all past 21 and have significant others as well. So dividing that day got to be a really big hassle. Most holidays for that matter, but the one that matters to me is Christmas. So we made it into a Christmas brunch scenario. So we have the kids and the family all come over for brunch and we do it up that way. Um, and that way they can go in the evenings to their significant others places and stuff. But before that, man, when we were starting out this relationship, we were going 20 different places in one day and it was so much.
Yeah, yeah. So I bypass all that. And I was talking to Julie the other day, and she'd asked me. She goes, "What are you doing for Christmas?" Because they're going to Philly to spend time with Julie's family out there. And I was like, "I'll just be sitting at home." And she's like, "Well, that's sad." I'm like, "No, it's not. I do it every year. I mean, yeah, it's
J-
not a big
JP,
deal."
JP, I think
Yeah,
it goes without saying, we know this. You and your mom can come here if you'd like. I got
yeah.
you.
Well, it's just me. My mom is actually in Washington State, so it's just me. So,
Well, then even more.
but that being said, I don't mind because like I'm going to see my kids next weekend, and that's when I've been in the habit. That's when I celebrate Christmas now because again, I'll focus on me. This guy, I want my kids here with me, um, and I don't want our time to be rushed. So I typically spend most of my Christmases at home, lounging and doing a lot of fucking nothing.
Well, I can appreciate that too. But if you change your mind, come on through. We do it
Uh,
early and we end up just like we did Thanksgiving, same time frame, pretty much.
I might do it. I might come up. So.
All right. Well, let's dig into Gremlins.
Before we get into Gremlins, CineNerds
Uh oh. Uh
Podcast,
oh.
CineNerdsPodcast.com. All of our social links are there, all of our audio listeners. There's links for all of our episodes, our video listen watchers. There's all the links for that. There's a link for our reels, which I have still just been so wiped out. I have not done any more. but I'm getting ready to start recording those, and
Slacker!
they should actually
Slacker!
already be out now at the time of recording this. I've been overworked in between tour, then going straight back to work. I've not gotten shit done. So Ryan's has a lot of reels. I'm getting my reels are going to be out there now, on top of the ones we've had. But regardless, reels are out there. There are links on the CineNerdsPodcast.com. There's also a shop there, and Ryan doesn't have his outfit on to show you what's on the shop.
No, last week I had the hoodie on, but I do have my trusty little coffee mug here. It's a beautiful coffee mug. And contrary to Angie, who runs Seemingly Perfect Designs, contrary to what she told me that it's not microwave or dishwasher safe, it is. I've tried it. I've done it because I was like, if it doesn't go through, I'm going to order another one. And so I keep running it through, and this thing is Old Faithful, and it is my favorite coffee mug.
And that should be up by this point because I'm actually going to work on it this week.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. Oh yeah.
the signed CineNerds posters should be up right now on the CineNerdsPodcast.com to buy. Because we're filming this a couple weeks out from Christmas, so I had actually said in the Alma and the Wolf episode that it should be up by then. Well, this week is the week that episode's coming out, and I am going to have that up on the website probably within the next day to 2 days before this Alma and the Wolf episode. So it's Christmas now, so that should be on the .com. So if you want a signed print from me and Ryan for CineNerds, they are up there. ten
And there's
dollars a
only
piece.
25.
Yeah, there's $10 a piece plus shipping. I actually just shipped one out today to Megan, who was coming to our show and got snowed in halfway here. I actually mailed one to her, free of charge.
24
So,
of them.
so there's 24 of them. So I waited. One of the reasons I waited is I wanted to know what shipping was. The shipping was $8 on those damn things. So it'll be $10 plus shipping.
Copy that. All right. So, Gremlins. Let's get into it.
Gremlins. Initial impressions.
It's a fucking Christmas movie. That's my initial impression. Because everyone's saying that it's not. You can kick rocks. This takes place, it leads up to and takes place on Christmas Eve. And it is amazing. I love this movie. It is wholehearted. It is amazing. And it's also dark and twisty. There's some really dark shit that happens in a couple different scenes of this movie that took me back. And I'd forgotten about them. Specifically, I mean, at this point, if you haven't seen Gremlins, we're not giving away anything by saying the placement of this, but the girl who's the protagonist in this, she tells a story about her father passing away on Christmas and how that all transpires. And there's also a suicide reference in there that's pretty dark and twisty that I wasn't expecting, and that threw me back in my chair for a second. I had forgotten about. So all together, though, this movie bridges together, and it's a good, wholesome movie. Except for the dark parts, that I wasn't expecting to be as amazing as it was, even the first time I saw it so long ago.
So yeah, I watched this as a kid. This is a staple. I love this film, and me and my son, I actually had a conversation with my son the other day because I'd actually called him and asked him what he was doing. He's like, "Well, I just watched Gremlins," and I was like, "Which one?" He said, "Well, I just watched part two." Uh, he's like, "Well, I watched part one and I just finished part two." And I said, "Which one's your favorite?" And he goes, "Part two." And I actually told him on the phone, I said, "Well, unpopular opinion, more than likely, I agree with you. I like part two better than the first one. But they're both great. And like I loved them both growing up."
Two definitely has more depth, and I do like the personalities of the evil gremlins, more so than Spike and his crew in the first one. But I don't know. This one, that's a hard one because they're both solid films. I don't have any qualms with either of them really.
No, they're both great. Yeah, I don't have any issues with either of them. And uh, but I don't know. There's something about two that embraces the campiness and gives the Gremlins themselves more personality. And I like a lot of the actual human characters, in part two a lot better than the first one. So I don't know. I always gravitate to part two, and maybe part of it too is I actually saw part two in the theater, and I didn't see the first one in the theater. That could be another part of it for me too.
That's fair. When you see a movie in the theater first and then you see it afterwards, like if you see it at home first versus the theater, it's definitely different. It's there's a different nostalgia, if you will, that stays with you and resonates with you.
All righty. You want to give a quick plot summary?
Plot summary. Okay, so dad is let's see, dad of Billy, who's the main character. He is an inventor, he's an on the road salesman, and he comes into a little China type area, and he goes into a store where a grandfather, an old wise man who you'd see in like a kung fu movie, is kind of the head of the shop, and he happens to hear the Mogwai in the back, and Gizmo, and he is drawn towards it and offers 100 first. Then he offers $200, and the old man's like, "No, you're not responsible enough. This can't happen. There's no price. I won't sell it. It's not for sale." Well, the grandson overhears and ensues the whole movie and the whole plot. The grandson takes the $200 from the father and sells him the Mogwai secretly. None of the rules are followed, and chaos reigns on this small town. And that's our story. It's a quite solid story and quite fun.
So, my first note on this is Joe Dante directed this film.
Yeah,
And
that was. Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was just gonna say, did you see who the executive producers were?
Well, I mean, it was Steven Spielberg, Kathleen Kennedy, because she
Which,
produced so much stuff in the 80s and 90s.
and I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Kathleen Kennedy even produced the Indiana Jones movies, like the original Raiders of the Lost Ark and all that. So, like, everybody who bitches about Kathleen Kennedy, even myself included, not a fan of Kathleen Kennedy and what she's done with Star Wars, but I always have to defend her and the stuff that she has produced, specifically through the 80s. I mean, she has given us some of the biggest films, produced some of the biggest films in history,
but
you know.
but producing is not the same as writing and directing. I'm sorry, so
No,
I can't
no,
give her that. Like, I still can't do that.
and this film was written by Chris Columbus and it was directed by Joe Dante. If you don't know who Joe Dante is, he's done the original Piranha. He did The Howling, which I know is another one of Ryan's favorites. With The Howling, he did obviously he did Gremlins. He did Inner Space. Joe Dante has done a lot of films. Like I couldn't even begin to go through his IMDb right now. And Chris Columbus has wrote tons and tons of our big hits throughout the years. He's given us he's worked on Harry Potter series. He has um oh God, what does he didn't he write got to pull it up. Yeah, the Goonies. He wrote the Goonies, young Sherlock Holmes. Um he's worked on a lot of people know him from the first two or three Harry Potter films because he directed those films. So Chris Columbus, who wrote this, has been around for fucking years too, and has done some incredible things. And Steven
Yeah,
Spielberg alone, I mean, you know who Steven Spielberg is.
well, back to Dante. The Howling was all I wanted to talk about, really.
Well, that's what I said. He directed one of your favorite films, The Howling.
Oh, I didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because you wasn't listening. I was looking out for you, and you wasn't listening.
You're
Merry
like you're my
Merry
podcast
Christmas.
wife, JP. I don't listen.
Merry Christmas to me, huh?
You never listen, Ryan.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I said. You love The Howling, and that was a Joe Dante.
So, funny little tidbit too. So, the voice of Gizmo is Howie Mandel.
Howie Mandel.
So I could always do Gizmo and I could always do Bobby from Bobby's World. I didn't know it was the same person doing the voices. So Howie Mandel became a favorite of mine for the voice acting at an early age because that was an easy voice to do.
Yeah, yeah. I liked Howie Mandel in the 80s and 90s. I love like Little Monsters and
Oh my
Bobby's
god, I love that movie.
yeah, and Bobby's World and a lot of that shit that came out.
Bobby's World.
Um, I still to this day want a bathroom buddy.
Why am I drawing a blank?
I mean, that's what his dad, the salesman, is trying to sell to
Right,
everybody, the
I can't but I
bathroom
can't
buddy.
remember that. Now, he's got a but well, he's got the smokeless ashtrays is my
Yeah,
the
but he goes in to actually,
oh, the
get
toothbrush thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, he has a bathroom buddy he's trying to sell at the beginning of the film, and it has a razor, toothbrush, it has toothpaste, it has shaving cream, it has all your bathroom needs in one little device. I still want
Yeah,
that.
me personally, I have one of the inventions. It was the Keurig. The coffee pot thing essentially looked like a goddamn Keurig. I was like, "What?"
Well, a lot of his inventions, the smokeless ashtray, the egg cracker thing, like all his
That thing was
inventions,
insane.
all his inventions are shit that I could definitely see either has been made or would be made in today's world. So I think a lot of his inventions were pretty inventive at the time.
Yeah, they were absolutely '80s worthy, without a doubt.
And yeah, and my next note on here is Kathleen Kennedy produced. So we've already talked about that.
That
Um,
chick. Sorry, I'm gonna stop talking about Gremlins for a minute because if this is true, this might be Christmas worthy news. But the rumor, which I haven't seen confirmed by Disney, is that they're
Gremlins 3.
well, no, no, no. I was starting to talk about Star Wars because of Kathleen Kennedy. Well, they might be retconning the sequel trilogy. If they do that,
I've
I,
heard this, and I've been hearing it for years, but I've seen what you've been talking about where a lot of people are
I mean,
really saying it's happening.
Screen Rant covered it, so that's where I was like, okay, this is gaining momentum because it might not be confirmed by Disney yet, but if Screen Rant's covering it, it's got worthy mentions here happening.
And they could do it. They could do it within the Ahsoka series or like the Thrawn series easy.
I mean, if if they attempted and they did recasts, there's no reason why they can't make it happen with Aldrich coming back as Solo. You've got what's his face for Luke. We've talked about him before playing Luke,
Yeah,
Bucky.
Winter Soldier.
Yeah, yeah. So
Sebastian
like
Stan.
that's right. So, like, those people alone, I think that we've got some positive momentum. If they did the Thrawn trilogy, if they came back in, if they did the Yu Zhang Vong, they could do so much badassery with this missing gap of 20 years and still keep Mandalorian, Ahsoka, all those shows relevant.
Yeah, and I mean we got Thrawn already in Ahsoka, and the what was originally said was Dave Filoni will be doing a film, and supposedly his film is the Thrawn film is what he's talking about doing. That was the rumor with the Dave Filoni film.
I thought his film was The Mandalorian and
No, that's
Grogu.
That's John Favreau.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Mm, yeah, because no, Filoni said that he would be tying up a lot of the Mandalorian and would be
So
continuing into the Ahsoka Thrawn into his film.
So we talked about Kathleen Kennedy, obviously, but you mentioned Filoni, and Filoni to me is the reason why the Clone Wars cartoon and the Rebels cartoon were so perfect, in my opinion. He understands the lore, he understands the depth, the fandom. He is the person to steer this. So why they chose Kennedy to lead it, I get it, but at the same time, I don't. I think Filoni would have been the right choice, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah, we've said this for years, but I get the why. He didn't have experience for live action. That was the reason he was held back. But now he's got the experience. We'll see what happens.
We shall see.
Gremlins.
This is what we do. We go off on little tangents. It's okay.
Uh, the little old woman, I can't remember her name. I didn't write it down, but man, she is evil. That comes into the bank and wanting to kill his dog, and
The shit that was in my mind when I rewatched that scene, like, obviously, like, to me, this is like a perfect example of Hollywood stealing for another part. So this is to the T, the Wicked Witch, the character from Wizard of Oz. We're trying to get Toto and take Toto away from Dorothy, that whole bit. It's the same thing in this situation with Billy and his dog. Now, that woman, though, when she's talking, like, in my head, like, I'm instantly like, I'm gonna destroy this woman's life. Like I'm like in my mind, I'm like, you touch my dog and you will burn. I don't care who you know or what power you have.
you said Wicked Witch. I was actually thinking Corella Deville.
It's similar to that aspect,
Yeah.
but same like, to me, it goes farther back, like, I definitely the Wicked Witch when the character who was supposed to be her in real life, like, sorry, on the farm, not in Oz, when that person comes to the door, of the farm and it takes Toto, that's exactly where I saw this same scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, she's evil. I actually wrote that in my notes. Old woman is so evil.
Yeah, I was so happy when that dog jumped over and attacked her and smashed the rest of that fucking snowman head.
And I didn't read about any of the practical effects. Kind of like last week, we knew that all the snow was fake in the Jack Frost episode, and they used a lot of cotton. But man, one of my notes is that fucking Volkswagen Beetle was completely frozen over, unlike any fucking car I've ever seen frozen over. Did you see anything on like what did they talk about that being so frozen over in any of the effects or anything? Do you know of?
I didn't hear or read anything like that. And I've never like it's so funny when I think about those bugs like back in the 80s, I didn't know a single person that owned one that didn't have those problems. So so it was a very similar thing. Now, the neighbor comes out of nowhere during that sequence when he's trying to work on it. He opens the back and there's smoke coming out of the engine. That neighbor who comes over, we've seen him. That was who was that?
It's Dick Miller.
Dick Miller. So he's been in so much other stuff. You know him if you saw him.
He's a character actor. He's been in like he has like I'd have to look, but I bet he has over 500 filming credits. He died a couple years ago.
And his character in this is basically the 80s equivalent of a MAGA person now. He's like, "American made, it shouldn't be here."
Yeah, he wrote "damn foreign car." He said "damn foreign cars,"
Yeah.
and but you know the funny thing is back then when this film was written, I actually put this in my notes because I actually put Dick Miller frozen car, damn foreign cars in my notes, and talk about this in the '80s when this film was made. American cars were known for being more reliable than foreign cars. And so for the time period, I actually wrote in my notes that this line of dialogue definitely did not age well for 2025. Um, because foreign cars are known for being the most reliable and American cars are known for being junk. But back then, it was the opposite.
I still think American cars are more reliable.
It's because you drive a Ford.
That's because it's amazing. See, alright, let's get into this.
Let's get into
Compact
what? No, no, let's get into this. Ford found on road dead.
never. I've only had Fords, and I've had nothing but Old Faithful. I had a Ford Taurus station wagon before it died, 301,000 miles on that fucker. If you take care of them, they'll go forever. The cool thing about them is I don't know much about cars, so I can't successfully work on a compact engine. The engines that I can get to and get to the parts without having to pull the whole engine out, God bless them, and that's the Fords. Now, I will say this, the newer Fords have been getting more and more compact. So
Every all new cars, whether it's American or foreign, they're all everything's computerized, and you got to take it to somebody that knows what they're doing to
well,
work on
no,
the
the
cars now.
the
But
compact aspect aside, though, like or so the computers aspect aside, like my Bronco, I can get into my engine, I can get to every part I need to in it, and I feel great about that because then I can actually like assess it before I need to take it somewhere and get just run up on the labor.
yeah, but yeah, I don't know.
Volkswagens, Jesus.
Volkswagen.
All right. So, yeah, as we get in this movie, so obviously there's some rules. There's some rules for the Mogwai, and the rules are they're not for night. They can't feed them after midnight, and you can't let water get near them. Right? Those are the three.
Hmm.
And basically all
Sunlight. Don't feed them after midnight, and don't get them wet.
yeah, I said not light, but yeah. And sunlight's more of a well, until we get to the end, you think it's just they're photosensitive, but we find out otherwise at the end. Um, but he manages to or sorry, Corey Feldman's fuckery. Let's get into that. I forgot about Corey Feldman being in this, and I forgot completely until the rewatch. For some reason in this movie, I forget every time I watch this that his little shit self is in it as the next door neighbor kid. So he knocks over a cup of water, spills on Gizmo, and we get our first batch of these little assholes, the evil side of the gremlin. and they come out cute. They come out like the Mogwai and they're furry and everything. But one of these little shits eats the cord on his clock in his room, Billy's, and he doesn't see that it's past midnight and feeds them. And they go into a pupa stage, as it's said in the movie. Excuse my voice, I'm a little raspy. But that basically builds everything forward. The first big baddie you get, Spike, even when he was a soft little furry Mogwai, he had a little spike of white hair, and he turns into this evil gremlin looking thing. The reason why I appreciate this design on the Gremlins is because they actually look like some of the old, like, demons from Japan or China. They kinda look like some of the, like, Oni masks and things like that, and so I appreciated the fact that this little dude from a kung fu movie was holding it down with these guys, and this is what came out of them.
And all these effects, this is before CGI, so all these effects are practical. And I love Gizmo. I think Gizmo just looks fantastic in this film. I think he looks even better in the sequel. Um, but and the Gremlins look absolutely fantastic. Everything looks just they put a lot of money into these animatronics.
Especially the theater scene. You
Yeah.
got over 100 of these gremlins chilling in the theater watching Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and they're all moving, doing independent actions and going crazy and having fun, and it's you're like, "This is really all not CGI. This was practical effects." Now, there's a scene towards the end of the theater scene where they've discovered Billy and Kate, and the gremlins are running towards the screen. I think that part might be computer or remastered that way, or maybe it was just a projector, I don't know, but it looks like all the
I,
gremlins are getting up and jumping.
yeah, I think it was just the way it was filmed because I've read that there was never any updates and this was all practical effects.
Nice. Yeah,
Um,
I the best practical sequence for me was is the end with Spike, and we
yeah.
can get into that more later, but
Um, so there's one point, and I put this in my notes. The dad actually leaves and goes to a convention to try to sell his products, and he calls home and he's on the phone. And if you did you pay attention to shit that's going on in the background and shit in this at this convention?
the robot.
Well, not only the robot, my favorite thing in the background was the H.G. Wells time machine.
Oh, that's right, I did see that.
So in this scene, there's actually from the film, the original H.G. Wells time machine film. The time machine from that film is actually in this scene in the background, and you see him turn it on, and then it cuts away, and then it cuts back, and the time machine is poof gone, and there's like smoke everywhere.
I did not notice that.
Yeah, yeah. So like the time machine actually goes into
Oh
through
my
time.
god, that would be such a cool, like, secondary movie, like, if they fucked up the timeline with Gremlins and went back and had to fix everything.
But then what you were talking about, the danger Will Robinson robot from Lost in
It's
Space is in
I
there.
so, is it the Lost in Space one, or there is it the other one, the Forbidden whatever?
Yeah, I thought it was a Lost in Space, but you may be right. It may be the one from Forbidden Planet. But
Yeah,
I was thinking Lost in Space, but you may be right.
either way, though, those were cool robots, and that was a great age of sci-fi, I love that.
So yeah, the both of those are in there, and I thought those were really, really, really cool. Now, especially for me, the time machine, because I've not talked about this really a lot. I don't think I've ever talked about it on the podcast, but that original, I even like the remake of it, but
Dude,
that
the Guy
ori-
Pearce remake is solid.
yeah,
I love that
yeah,
remake.
the Guy Pierce remake is fucking great, but that original H.G. Wells time machine movie that came out, I believe it was in the 50s when it came out. I fucking love that film. It's one of my favorite science fiction films, honestly.
You know, they talk about that being the golden era and everything, and really, I mean, you got War of the Worlds, you got fucking Time Machine, you got Night of the Living Dead, Last Man there's so many amazing, beautiful films from that period.
Yeah, so I was really happy to see that make a little cameo. Yeah,
That's spectacular. Um, so there's a lot of, well, how do I wanna say this? Product placement in this movie for sure. But that aside, though, like, the way that this bounces around, the way dude, when that chick gets launched through the window or the dude, that was it the wife or the husband?
It's the Cruella de Vil you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
when
the
she gets
evil.
launched, that gave me such it was such a gratifying scene because you had this disdain for her, and she just got launched, dude. I mean, launched.
Yeah, they she has this stair lifter. It's like a seat she sits on that takes her up to the top of the steps, and the gremlins fuck with it, and so it shoots her like a fuck. I actually wrote rocket launch grandma because that's essentially what happens. It's like a fucking grenade launcher shoots her through the roof of the house and across the street.
It was beautiful. Hey, why was Santa upset when he got a sweater for Christmas?
Why was Santa upset?
Because he was hoping for a screamer or a moaner. Sorry, we
Uh,
gotta
that one took me a second, but God.
Yeah, yeah. No one likes a sweater.
So you talked about this at the beginning of the film, or at the beginning of this episode. The um, the girlfriend's story.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So this has a little
So
I know where you're going. This has some trivia to it.
well, it's funny because I actually looked this trivia up and I read it, but um, I wrote girlfriend's story went dark and really random to stop and tell this dark story in the middle of the film feels out of place. That's what I wrote in my notes. Then I went and before we started recording this episode, I looked at some of the trivia and it said that the producers of this film and even Steven Spielberg himself did not like this story in the film. They thought it felt out of place.
So, let me tell you why I feel like it was perfect. So, to me, she's like, "Can't someone just hate Christmas? Can someone just not like," she was very, like, adamant about it, and you didn't know why, you don't have context. And she just is an anti-Christmas person, and when you hear that reason, you understandably know why, and it helps forge the relationship further between her and Billy. So, I was like, it brought them closer in my opinion, because once he understood that about her, he was like, "Wow, this chick's seen some shit." So, I was a fan of it.
Yeah, I get it, but I get that side of it, but I don't know. It to me, it almost stops the movie for those 3 minutes that she's telling this story. That it just feels really random and out of place. That even when I was young, I felt like this was just didn't something didn't feel right. And then watching it this time, I still felt the same way. I get they probably need to be some context to why she hated Christmas so much, but this was really out of left field and just felt wrong to me.
I mean, I let's put it this way, I love the darkness of this part because it added more towards this being more of a and I say this loosely, but a Christmas horror. So, because let's just be honest, if this is all cheery and lovey, it's not gonna keep that vibe, and it's gonna be more of a family-friendly movie, and so this kinda that moment was definitely, like, if any little kids went to the movie theater and saw this movie and heard that line of, "That's how I learned there wasn't a Santa." They
I
just
I don't mind it being dark. I don't know. Maybe part of my problem is how she conveys it or something. There's something off in that scene for me. I don't mind it being dark. I actually appreciate the darkness of the story, but there's just something about it that feels off. And maybe it's her. Maybe it's her telling the story.
I don't I don't know. I liked it. I was cool with it. I was more put off by, um, the suicide reference. She made another line that was like a suicide reference that was so fucking out of nowhere, and I was like, "Whoa, whoa." Like, that shit just got dark.
What did she say? Because I don't remember.
Um, let me see. I'm trying to find the exact line because I can't remember.
While you're looking for that, I'm gonna ask you a question. I'm gonna jump towards the end of the film because I have a question. Am I having a Mandela effect? So towards the end of the
About
towards the end of the film, after the theater scene, so to lead you up to this, all the gremlins are in the theater watching Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So Billy and Kate go in and they set the place on fire. Well, they release gas and light a match, and basically they blow the theater up to kill all the gremlins. Spike gets out. He gets out before they blow it up, and he's across the street getting candy at the local candy toy store. So they see him in there, and they go in to get him. So he's the last remaining gremlin. During this scene, you see Gizmo get in a toy car.
Right.
I always remembered him in a red Corvette.
I don't.
To me, I feel like I'm having a Mandela effect. I feel like he was in a red Corvette. Watching it this time, I actually wrote Gizmo's car is pink. He's driving a pink Barbie Corvette. I always
So
remembered this
that
being red.
I remember the pink Barbie thing because they marketed it. That was how they kind of were trying. That's why I said product placement. They're kind of trying to lure the girls into liking this as well by making him ride around in this car. Now, if I remember correctly, in Gremlins 2, I thought there was something similar where he's like in a, it's like a, is it like a four wheeler truck, like with big tires, or is there a red car in that one?
They may
I
be. I mean, I'll have to revisit it, but they may be. Maybe that's what's throwing me off. I always remember Gizmo in the second one tying the bandana around his head like Rambo. Um, but yeah, for whatever reason, I always felt like that car was red. And I even thought that the Funko that came out with Gizmo in the car, I thought the car was red even in the Funko.
well, I can look that up in 2 seconds. So you hold on 1 second. The Funko Master here. All right.
And you can check him out at Neotech in Northeast Ohio, where he sells Funkos.
Well, that was fun to do and talk about last week's episode because we were doing it the day after, but just for the Toys for Tots. But normally I won't talk about that
I
often.
was just trying to add some filler in there and to give you a little bit of a plug, which I need to go up there and actually sell some toys. I need to see if I could sell some stuff.
Yeah, so I'll send you an invite to the page, and then from there it's $8 for a table, and once you're a member, and you go there and you can put your prices on it and sell. It's just a great community of people. Like just to give a little bit of a little backstory to it while I'm looking, the one year there was a young boy who he had gotten scammed. He had bought his family had got him the Jabba's barge, the playset, and at the time it was like a $200 playset when it came out. And he got scammed. The family got scammed out of the money, lost the money. The toy never arrived. The community found out about it. Not only did they go after the guy who scammed them and made sure he was held accountable, but they managed to raise the money to buy the barge for the boy so he had it at Christmas and also give the family some extra money. So like this group is just an amazing group.
So I've got it up. I'm going to put my phone up here. It actually says Gizmo in red car is the Funko.
See, but I think that's from the sequel. I don't think that's from the first one.
Well, it just says Gremlins. It doesn't say Gremlins 2. So, regardless, I remembered him in a red fucking car. And obviously, the car is pink in the fucking movie.
This is interesting because yeah, I do see it. Hmm.
Is it a Mandela effect?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Driving in Gremlins 2. Let's see here. Let's see here. No, it's Gizmo's Corvette. It's pink in that as well. Doesn't this one's just showing me the first one? It's not showing me the second one.
Yeah. I don't know. It is what it is, but that's just how I remember it. Even Funko remembers it that way.
And there's so many different variants of what I'm seeing that yeah, Funko definitely remembered that way. And I'm seeing a backpack with a red car. But I definitely know the movie was always pink just because of the marketing aspect for the because they're trying to appeal to young girls.
Maybe what's happened is there's been so many artwork and things done later and put him in a red car maybe to make it look more boyish for young boys, and that's how I remember it, and just did not remember it being pink in the movie. But yeah, that was my. I always thought that car was red. So
Well, whatever.
so
Hey, do you know why Santa's sack's always so big? He
I
only
don't wanna
comes once a
say.
year.
I was gonna say because he's full of cum, but that yeah.
Uh, yours a little more direct than mine, but sure.
So the, get towards the end of this film, um, Spike gets in a water fountain and is about to repopulate the Gremlins. Um, they bust open the windows, sunlight comes in, and the effects in this scene I love
I do
because
too.
you see Spike start melting, you know, his flesh falling off his body and bones, and it's kind of a little bit of a grotesque scene. It's probably a little hard for a younger person to actually watch this scene because it does get a little grotesque, but the effects are fantastic. Very to me, very it feels very what I would imagine the Wicked Witch happening to her when she gets in water, you know, and melts away. And essentially,
So
that's what's happening. He's melting.
so given that scene and given the darkness of the chimney story from Kate and the reveal that Santa's not real, given these things, why did they put a PG rating on this in 1984?
PG-13 wasn't a rating at that time.
Really?
Yeah, PG-13 didn't come in until like 1990 or something
Well,
like that.
this is proof of how much older than me you are.
Yeah, PG-13 was a late. They reevaluated the rating system, and PG-13 was not a thing until later, late '80s or early '90s. I can't remember what year it was. And the first film to actually have a PG-13 film rating was something very random. Um, First movie. The first movie to be released with a PG-13 rating. Actually, it would have been a year after this. So I was a little off on my timeline. But the first PG rating was Red Dawn in 1984.
So did it just go from PG to R?
Yes.
That's so weird. I
Yeah.
remember it was 1991 or 92 when Hellraiser Bloodlines came out, somewhere in that ballpark. Because I remember my father having to go up to the theater with me to buy the ticket for me to let me go in to see it. He didn't go with me, but he could buy it, and I went in. But because of the ratings,
Yeah. And if you remember back in the early '80s, that's why a lot of horror films, a lot of them were getting really chopped up and they weren't being allowed into theaters because they wouldn't give them a rated R rating. They would rate them X. And the only place you could play a rated X film was a porn theater.
hmm.
And so they did some restructuring. That's when we got G, PG, PG-13, then R.
Yeah, the whole rating system is weird. Just because you can't imagine PG with um, you can't imagine PG films with that kind of reveal. Because if any of these young kids went to that and they were like, if they thought this was going to be a happy-go-lucky, lovey-dovey movie with Gremlins being all cute and cuddly, and then hearing there's not Santa, I imagine there's some kids crying leaving the theater.
Yeah. I think had this movie came out a year or two later, it definitely would have been PG-13 and they may have made them cut some of those effects to get a PG-13, I bet. Cuz they really cracked down on this because of irate parents.
I would imagine so. I would have been pretty pissed if my kid believed in Santa and didn't. And you know what? And then found out otherwise. But you know what? I tell my kids, and I tell them to this day, and I tell them I still believe in Santa because it's Santa's as real as you allow him to be, is what I say. So it's just an easy way to kind of get around it without directly saying I'm a lying piece of shit.
I mean, Walton Goggins believes in Santa. He went and hunted him down.
Listen,
I actually got a T-shirt coming in. I ordered the other day, and it's a Righteous Gemstone shirt that has Amy Lee and Baby Billy on it.
um, I don't think I watched Righteous Gemstones.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
well, Baby Billy is played by Walton Goggins.
Yeah, I think no, yeah, I don't think I saw that one. Is that part of the Knives Out? No,
No,
that's not.
Righteous Gemstones is the TV series with uh, John Goodman, Walton Goggins, Eastbound and Down
Yeah,
guy, Danny
no,
McBride.
yeah, I didn't watch it. I had it in my queue, but I never watched it.
Oh, you were missing out because it is so good.
Are they is this the Vice Principals one?
Yeah, it's not part of Vice Principals, but same creative team. Yeah,
Okay,
it's way better than Vice Principals though.
okay.
Yeah, you got to watch that, and it's done, so you can watch all of it.
So, my big question here, guys, do you think Gremlins is a Christmas movie? Because that's the big question here. I keep seeing a lot of people fighting about. Like, there's a lot of movies that fall into this category. Is it or isn't it? We all know the Die Hard one, but do you think Gremlins is, given that it falls on Christmas Eve and there's Christmas music and Christmas lights? Um, sound off. Let us know.
I don't think there's even for me. There's not even a question. This is a Christmas movie. I mean, it's
There's a weird.
everything about this film. There's Christmas caroling. You got gremlins singing carols. You've got Christmas trees, presents. You know, snow. You've got all this. You got Santas. It's all there.
I agree wholeheartedly. But then there's the community of everything just needs a little bit of Christmas and it becomes a Christmas movie, or there's too much Christmas and they say it's not a Christmas movie. For instance, there's people that argue Rambo's a Christmas movie because the Christmas tree in the background of the police station. There's different things happening. So I always like to hear different people's takes on it and see where they stand.
Huh. Well, chime in. Let us know. Budget, box office.
Yep. So what do you think the budget was?
Oh,
A lot of
80.
practical effects.
Yeah, 83, and there's a lot of not just practical effects, incredible practical effects. So for 83, and this is going to be a lot of money for 83, I feel like. So this is where I'm going. I'm going to say 35 mil.
Way over. It
Oh,
was only
okay.
11 mil for this, actually.
Wow. Wow, this movie looks
That's what.
incredible. Incredible for 11 mil.
Hell yeah, I gotta agree. Especially after some of the numbers we've seen and what was put into this. You got a whole town. You got the destruction of a whole town, explosives. So they had pyro going on. They had practical effects out the wazoo. Like it's just a solid and a solid cast too.
Uh,
So what do you think it made?
so I remember this movie killed in the theater, and probably like one of the biggest movies of the year in 83. So I'm going to say worldwide, because I don't know if this actually got like a full worldwide release. It may have. I could be wrong. Um, we'll say 125.
So gross US and Canada was 153, almost 154 mil. The gross worldwide was 165.5 mil. So
Okay.
it did all right
Yeah.
for
No,
$11 million budget.
I knew it killed. I knew this movie killed. I wasn't real sure where it landed. And thing when you get into the early 80s, it's a little harder to kind of guess some of those numbers because the numbers were a lot substantially lower. So I mean, I would say if this made 160 million, that would probably be equivalent to making 600 million in today's world.
Here's the unique fun little bit about the box office numbers. So the I told you the gross worldwide. I don't so that could it doesn't specify, but that could include the DVD or sorry, VHS tapes and rentals afterwards. But as far as the opening weekend budget or box office, it only did 12 and a half mil. So if that's the case and that worldwide number is accurate, then the 12 and a half mil just shows me that word of mouth when a movie's good makes all the difference.
Back then, it did
For
because
sure.
a lot of people, a lot of opening weekends were low, and it usually would be the second or third weekend, and some of these movies would really make money because you know you didn't have online critics; it was all word of mouth back
Right.
then. So a lot of these older films in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and even into the 90s, some of those films didn't get traction until 2 or 3 weeks in.
Mm.
I, Rating. Yeah, we hadn't even done our ratings. We need to get our ratings.
All right, go first, buddy.
So Gremlins. I mean, I said at the beginning of the episode, I watched this movie 100 fucking times when I was a kid. Like, I loved this film. I loved the sequel. I love the practical effects. I love the director. I love the writer. I love the producer, Steven Spielberg. Um, we're gonna leave Kathleen Kennedy out of this. um, yeah, I love most of everything Joe Dante's done. Um, so this was a winning package deal for me. Especially looking back now that the older I've gotten and the films that I loved. I'm looking back like this as a whole. You got a cast, you got the writers, you got the directors, and I just everything about it is rolled into a ball that I love. Um, so that being said, I'm going to rate this overall at a 4.0. Uh, I
Okay,
think there's I think
that's
there's
fair.
some I think there's some things in this one that kind of like I talked about with Kate's monologue about her father that feels a lot of place. But the darker themes in this movie, I love. I love the campiness. I love the music. Um, I think this is just a fun fucking film, and it's a creative film. It has a great creative team, and I think it's a must watch for everybody. And I think it's a must watch for anybody and their family, even though some of this stuff is a little more adult themed.
I think you hit it on the head for me, especially the music aspect, and I'm glad you brought that up because, like, to me, this is one of the more unique and quirky soundtracks I've heard in a movie, that fits completely to the gremlin aspect. So, because there's this cheesy quirkiness to the puppets as they're playing and how they act and their personalities, and that music just seems to fit it so well. The cast is solid. I love even the supporting cast. You got all the neighbors that all have their own little quirkiness to them.
Dick
You've got all the
Miller is
characters.
in this film as a side character. Dick Miller's awesome.
I mean, you got that. You've got the banker. What's the banker name? The guy that's like the sidekick of his.
It was from Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yes. So he kind of
Jug Reinhold.
reminds me of a more polished version of Jason Siegel. So
Yes, Judge
the
Reinhold.
Yeah, I mean, the supporting cast is just spectacular. The music's great, the story's great. I really dug the story. Um, I have to say this movie sits with me in a great place just throughout life and nostalgia. So I'm going a little bit higher than JP. It's not quite, a 4.5 and over, but 4.3 nerds from me. And you're right, this one is part of our holiday collection. It's not leaving a holiday collection because it is a Christmas movie, and it's a great little adventure that I love, and I'm happy I've gotten to share it with each one of my kids as they came of age.
Same. And I watched this with my son. Lane loves this. Like I said, beginning of this episode, I called him the other day, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I just finished watching both Gremlins films." Uh, because it was something we did. And he's still doing it to this day, and he's 21, 22 years old doing it.
I haven't seen Gremlins 2 in a few years. Does that have Christmas themes as well?
I think it does.
I don't know.
I have to go
I'm gonna
back and look. It's been a while since I revisited, but I think it does. I mean, the main like because it takes place in New York, and the main corporate guy is the guy that plays Lex Luthor, plays Lionel Luthor in Smallville.
excellent job doing that too, by the way. But anyways, yeah, no, JP got me hip to Smallville, so I just have to give credit where it's due there. It's a great show. But that aside though, like last week we talked about even as quirky and weird as Jack Frost was, I'm gonna dive in and I'm gonna see the sequel to that. And with this, I'm gonna give the rewatch to Gremlins too because I loved my rewatch of the original Gremlins.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna rewatch the second one as well because I need to revisit it.
Cool.
Uh, Recommendations.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with my on track from last week. Linda Hamilton movie again. I recently, for the first time, watched Terminator: Dark Fate, and I know this movie got a lot of hate online because people were sick of a lot of the Terminator things happening. But I'll tell you what. I appreciated it and I liked it because of the way they handled an alternate timeline and the ultimate alternate aspects of the Terminator world. Because they essentially pretended like Rise of the Machines and those movies didn't happen and they're a different timeline and went right from the end of Terminator 2 into this. And right off the rip, at the beginning of this movie, you see Edward Furlong's John Connor get killed by a Terminator, and it's pretty amazing how they handled that. I thought, and it was clean and crisp, and I was good. I was here for it.
Maybe I should revisit it because I went to the theater and watched it and just walked out pretty upset and did not watch it again. Maybe I should revisit it.
It's not a perfect film, but if you're a fan of the franchise and you jump from Terminator 2 right into this one, it works. It works
Okay.
well.
Okay. Maybe I'll give it another shot because I love Salvation. A lot of people hated Salvation. I like Salvation. I hated Genesis.
I did rewatch Genesis as well.
Yeah. So maybe I should revisit this one. So maybe I will. So my recommendation, I've been so busy doing other things, I've um, not been diving into a lot of films lately. But I did restart a new series. Not a new series, an old series I'm rewatching that I fucking love. I'm rewatching Grimm. If you've never watched the series Grimm, the seasons are long, and some of the episodes are just a lot of filler. They're all fun episodes though. You know, it all based on kind of it follows like a Grimm fairy tale type, you know, storyline with these creatures and monsters were real from the Grimm stories. And I love that series. I love the series as a whole. You know, some of the seasons are a little bit of a bog, but but that's just I think me getting like a lot of you guys getting used to a 8 to 10 episode season where they were still on the 22 to 24 episode season, where it gets a little bogged down when you have that many episodes per season. I get why a lot of series now have went to a 10 episode season or something like that because it does you can actually tell the story without doing a lot of filler episodes. So if you can get past the filler episodes and a lot of the bogged down storiness of the longer seasons, Grimm is so fucking good and I highly recommend it.
I watched everything but the final season, so I've got to dive back in.
The final season of that is incredible. And it actually ties up pretty much a lot of questions you have all the way back to season 1. They tie up in that final season.
Nice.
All righty. And I guess next week, it's the end of the year. Do our
Let's do it.
2025 episode. Yeah, we're going to do our favorites. Well, our top movies of 2025 episode.
I think we'll follow that up the following week with a most anticipated of 26.
Yeah. So we're going to keep this trend. We did this last year. I think it's a fun trend to keep on at the beginning of every year. Our final thoughts on the year and then our thoughts on what's coming up for 2026. So if you watched our most anticipated films of 2025 that we did last January, once you go if you missed it, go back and watch it. And then you're going to see if any of those movies make our top films of 2025 and see what didn't match with us with our most anticipated from last year.
Well, shit, I need to go back and look at what those were.
I know I've got to go back and look at that episode too because only thing I can remember for sure that was in it was Superman.
Which held up well.
We'll find out next week.
Yeah.
So, all right, you got anything else?
Just I hope you guys had a wonderful Christmas surrounded by those you care about most and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Christmas evening and Happy New Year, guys.
All right, guys. Merry Christmas. Till next week. Later.
Later.